Hello guys, Namaskar. This is KK Singh, Vedic Astrologer. Welcome to my YouTube channel Om Astrojyoti. Again, we have Mr. Fernando Raulji with us, and today we are going to cover another very important Panch Maha Purush Raj Yoga given by Mars, that is called the Ruchaka Yoga. Now, already we have done the Sasha Yoga of Shani and we have done the Hamsa Yoga of Jupiter. Now, we will be directly, without wasting any time, coming to the point of the Ruchaka Yoga. How is it formed and what are the effects of the Ruchaka Yoga? So, Fernando ji, I welcome you again. So, sir, please give us insight on the Ruchaka Yoga. So, definitely the audience can understand what is the importance of it.
Once again, thank you, Kaushal, for inviting me here and giving me space in your channel to talk about these yogas that are very basic but very powerful. As I've said in other videos, it's very interesting that we don't have the type of nomenclature that Jyotish has to identify these yogas in other schools of astrology, and they're very useful because they tell you a lot about the combinations that are within the Panch Maha Purushas that can be applied to other schools of astrology. Now, we're going to talk today about Ruchaka Yoga. Ruchaka Yoga is the Panch Maha Purusha Yoga of Kuja or Mangal or Mangala, depending on what part of India you are. And just as a brief review, what are Panch Maha Purusha Yogas? Panch Maha Purusha Yogas are basically 5 yogas specifically applying to the Tara Grahas, which are basically the starry planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Okay, and Pancha Maha Purusha Yoga means Pancha 5, Maha great, Purusha means person, or it can mean other things, but we're just simplifying it. And Yoga means union. So these are the unions of the 5 great people, and there are 5 versions, one each for the starry planets or Tara Graha. Remember, Tara means stars, Graha means Caesar or grasper, which is the Sanskrit word for planet in
Yes,
English. So today we're going to be discussing what Ruchaka Yoga is, and Ruchaka is the version of Mars. So let's start etymologically. What does Ruchaka mean? Ruchaka means something that is sharp. It has many meanings, as I have understood. You can correct me if you know this, Kaushal, but Ruchaka means sharp. It also means like acidic, which would allude to the Pitta dosha quality of Kuya. And it also denotes objects that bring luck, or like lucky objects. And I've also seen Ruchaka defined as mountain. Okay, we must remember that the root for Ruchaka is Rusha, as I've understood, and that means bright or radiant. It's very interesting to denote that even though Kuya or Mangal, how do you call Mars in your region? Kuya or Mangal?
No, Kuja is more of the Sanskrit word. Now we can say it Mangal Mors, or in Eastern India we say Mangal, and when we are going to the Southern India, it is also known as Bhaum.
Ah, mira pa allá. Cool.
Bhaum, Bhaum. Bhaum is also like coming from the Bhumi. Okay, Bhumi is because Mangal, Mars is the Karka for land also. Okay, now this is very interesting thing, that Mars is also considered as a child or as a male child of the Mother Earth.
Correct. A single mother, a child. He didn't have of that. That's why he always likes fighting. He wasn't raised the right way. Well, as I was saying, he wasn't raised in a traditional household. That's very interesting. Thank you for clarifying that. So as I was saying, it's very interesting because Mars, even though he's a Kshatriya planet, he's alluded to war, he's alluded to fighting, as we all know. Within Jyotish, he also has certain connotations of luck, of bringing luck, of being lucky, right? Of just finding like jewels in the ground or finding precious minerals. Kuya has always been alluded to luck. That's why Ruchaka has that meaning of lucky. And it's very interesting because I just want to mention this. Historically, Romans and Indians had commerce. As we know, the Greeks connected with the Indians, at least, very early on. I mean, at least informally. Formally, we could say that, there was a connection after the 2nd century BC with the Greek invasion of Alexander the Great. But ever since then, there has been connection between like the Mediterraneans or the Yavanas, which is Yavanas, as I have understood, is not necessarily Greek in Sanskrit, but just a word for foreigners, right? And we have, yes.
Yes, the ancient trade actually, which I was looking at, the fourth civilization, and also this is also very important. Like the trade is because when you are referring to any country or origin which is from the Mediterranean belt, we have had the proof that we used to trade it from Egypt, northern Egypt, and also from the southern bank of Europe. Means the because Mediterranean is a sea which separates Europe and Egypt and
Correct.
Africa. Okay,
Correct.
and one more civilization we used to trade off, that was the Mesopotamian
Oh,
civilization.
definitely.
It
Definitely.
was now modern days Middle East, Iran and Iraq.
Yeah, definitely. And what I want to say here is that there has always been a connection ever since then. And in Roman times, there was commerce. And it's very interesting to note what was the most precious substance that the Romans bought was pepper, specifically from Western India. They brought
Right.
pepper to Rome, and it was very valuable in Rome. Now, guess what was the thing that Indians bought the most from the Mediterraneans?
Salt or
Red coral.
okay.
So this brings me to Mars. And by the way, Javana, as I have understood, comes from the word Ionian for the Ionian Sea, which was the ancient word for the Mediterranean for the Greeks. But what I want to say here with all these details is that the Indians bought a lot of red coral from the Mediterraneans, from the Europeans,
Right.
right?
Right.
And the red coral, as you know, is the stone alluded to Mars. Now, in the ancient text, specifically the early ones, there is no allusions to stones and planets. This comes later on in the tradition. But the idea is that the red coral was it was the quality of the red coral from the Mediterranean, as I have understood, it was a bigger quality, a better quality than the one that you would find in the Indian Ocean. And this was used a lot in India for amulets, for lucky talismans, which allude once again to Mars, because Mars, within the most common use correspondence of stones and planets, well, Mars alludes to red coral. So you can see here that for a long time, Indians have used Mars as a significator of luck. So even though one might think, well, Ruchaka is going to be very strong and he's going to be and we're going to talk about that, he also brings a lot of luck, and we can see this by the name. Okay? Yes, are you going to say something?
Yes, one more point I would like to add on here is still now, you see, I am wearing a red coral in my hand. So you see, when we are talking about the red coral, still now, this is the Italian red coral. Now, Italian, we are taking to the consideration because it is the Mediterranean, as you are told.
Yeah.
Because of the Roman Empire.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to note how commerce worked back then, which is more or less the same as it does now, only that today we have more money and more technology. But like in Rome, pepper, some people say that you would measure a man's wealth by the pepper he had, which is crazy. And at the same time, I guess the same thing, somebody must have said something about red coral and the Westerners in terms of that Indian context of, let's say, the early centuries of the Common Era, 3rd, 4th, 5th century AD. So now we know what Ruchaka is. Now let's describe briefly what Ruchaka Yoga is, okay? It's basically the following, as we've discussed in other videos. You have to have Mars in essential dignity in either Mesha or Aries, Vrishika or Scorpio, or Makara or Capricorn. Okay?
Right.
And in accidental dignity, it has to be in one of the angular or Kendra houses or Kendra Babas, which are basically the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, or the 10th from the Lagna. So,
correct.
From if we understand that, we know that Ruchaka Yoga can only happen on cardinal lagnas. That is Mesha I'm sorry. It can only happen, in cardinal or in fixed signs. It cannot happen in dual signs that have Lagna. So Ruchaka Yoga cannot happen if you have a Gemini, if you have a Virgo, if you had a Sagittarius or a Pisces ascendant. It can only happen on fixed and cardinal signs: Mesha, Vrishva, Karkata, Shima, Tula, Vrishika, Makara, Kumbha. That's it. You cannot have it in other signs because those are the laws, right? And we're talking about Ruchaka Yoga, Mahapurusha Yoga for Mangal from the Lagna, okay? So basically, we see these descriptions, and this is basically the from a theoretical point of view, the requisites to have Ruchaka Yoga. If you don't have that, you don't have Ruchaka Yoga. Don't connect dots that are not there. You don't have it. Panch Maha Purusha yogas are intrinsically from the Lagna. You can do them from the moon, you can do them from the sun, but the strong one comes from Lagna, not from the moon,
only,
not from the sun.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
So, this is the theoretical basic stuff to understand it. Now, Kaushal, I would like to go to the texts, to go to the tradition to see what has been said about this yoga. So, as you know, the prime text for Panch Maha Purusha yogas comes from, it comes from Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, which, the date of it is quite controversial, and obviously Faladipika by Mantreshwar. So we're going to first go for the Ruchaka Yoga description from volume 2 of Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, chapter 75 from the edition of Dr. Kapoor. Okay. And it says, chapter 75, shlokas 1 and, where is it? No, shlokas 3 and 7. And it says, the Ruchaka native possesses a long face. He's very enthusiastic, has spotless luster, is powerful, has attractive brows, black hair, and is fond of all things. He loves to fight wars, is of dark red complexion, is victorious over enemies, is discriminative, is protector of thieves, and has cruel temperament and slender thighs. He's a devotee of Brahmins, has marks of Vina, Varga, Dhanus, Pasha, and Brasha signs in his hands, along with chakra Reka. He is well versed in occult sciences. He is 100 angles in height. You're going to tell me how much that is later on. His waist has a circumference equal to the length of his face, okay, and is 1,000 karshas in weight. He, as ruler of Sayashala and Vindhya Pradesh, dies after attaining the age of 70 by fire or weapon. So let's go step by step, right? So first of all, it says the Ruchaka native possesses a long face. He's very enthusiastic, has spotless luster, is powerful, has attractive brows, black hair, and is fond of all things. So here we have a very manly quality to it. Remember, Mangal is a male planet. He's a Pitta dosha planet, so he is very effervescent. He is a fire planet. He transforms things just like Pitta dosha does in the body. And at the same time, he is a Krura graha, or a malefic planet. So you have to take that into consideration. Long face, you have to look for confidence for that. Look at the moon, look at the second house, the second lord, the ascendant, even Taurus, even Venus. He's very enthusiastic, obviously. Pitta dosha there, very outspoken. Has spotless luster. We're going to say this. You have to remember, and I haven't said this in other videos, when a planet is strong, he is, because he assumes a certain sattvic predisposition, even in Ruchaka, even in Sasha, and even in Buddha, Bhadra, exacto, Bhadra Yoga. And I'm saying this because obviously, Saturn, Mars are tamasic, and obviously, Mercury is rajasic, and Venus is also rajasic in the other yoga for it. So you have to take this into consideration. What planets are either Swakshetra, Mula Trikona, or Usha, which are the prerequisites in terms of zodiacal longitude, in terms of essential dignity for the Mahapurusha yogas to happen. The planet doesn't become sattvic, but it has a sattvic predisposition. Obviously, Jupiter is always sattvic. So you have to take that into consideration.
Correct.
And other, the moon and the sun are sattvic, but they are not considered like Panch Maha Purushas because they're the luminaries. So whenever a planet is in a well dignity in angular houses, you have the Mahapurusha yogas. And a neophyte, a beginner would think, oh, well, these are people that are very, are very evident in their qualities, right? Oh, Saturn is going to be a very strong in terms of resisting, and he's going to be a hard worker and persistent, and it's gonna notice. And Jupiter, oh, Jupiter is going to be a saint. He's going to be a holy man. Oh, Venus, she's going to be beautiful, very talented, very artistic. It's going to show off. Mercury, he's going to be a genius. He's going to be very smart. Mars, he's going to be strong. He's going to pick up fights. No,
doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Exactly, because those are debilitated planets. See? Because in debilitation, you have to overcompensate, and people will notice those qualities more because you have to overcompensate and project. When you have planets in good dignity in angular houses, they simply are. And in terms of Ruchaka Yoga, you see this. This is going to be, and in my experience, as I've seen them, these are very manly men. Very masculine. If you have a woman, it will notice, but this is more of a manly yoga, in my opinion. And they're simply gonna be. They can fight, but they're not gonna be picking fights every day. They're very strong, they're very resilient, very passionate, but they're very calm. You're not gonna see this because when planets are in good dignity, they're gonna manifest good results in terms of their dashas and time periods in very concrete ways. But in terms of their psychological profile and the way they manifest themselves in everyday life, it's gonna be very subtle. It's going to be very subtle, and you're not going to notice it until you notice it and you know the person up front. And Ruchaka Yoga is just like this. These are very capable people. These are very capable administrators, very capable fighters, very willing people to do what they have to do. Okay? So take this into consideration because this is what Parashar is describing. Has spotless luster. So he's going to be a very... he's going to set example, just like a general would set example for his soldiers. Is powerful, without a doubt, has attractive brows, black hair, and is fond of all things. So you see here that these are qualities that are not necessarily alluded to Mars, but since he has a sattvic predisposition, being Swakshetra, Mulatrikona, or Usha in angular houses, then, an alchemical transformation happens where that planet has a sattvic predisposition, even though it is operating from a tamasic base, okay? At the same time, he loves to fight wars, obviously, but just like Sun Tzu and the art of war, the best war is the one you win without fighting. This is going to be a very smart strategist. This is going to be a very smart person. Remember, the best fight is the fight you don't fight. The best fight is the one you win without fighting. And Sun Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, and the Art of War is an exemplary book to understand this. So this is going to be a very wise person in terms of how he fights, in terms of how he manifests his wills against his enemies. And remember, enemies are just competitors in life. Is dark red complexion, once again alluding to the quality of Mars. Remember, Mars is always alluded to red. In the classics, they always say Mars is like the color of blood, and the color of blood is red. And if you don't have red blood, go to the hospital because you're or you're an alien. Okay. So then is victorious over enemies, obviously, noting the qualities innate to Mars. Is discriminative. That means he's smart. Is protector of thieves and has cruel temperament and slender ties. Why do we have allusion to thieves? Because of Aries, because of Mars. Mars means soldiers. Yes. Aries means soldiers. Yes. But Mars also means thieves. Mars also means not necessarily barbarians, but people who are, not going according to law. And if you extrapolate that, you see that, policemen, soldiers are just like thieves, but they're working for the state. They're working for the king.
Correct.
Unlike thieves and other people who might be working for other kings or for themselves, right? So take that into consideration, because if you read Yavana Yataka, Aries has qualities of thieves, Mars has qualities of thieves, because Mars is a malefic planet, and it is a malefic because it represents the accidental things that happen in life, like you becoming lucky, but it can also be becoming unlucky, which once again allude to the quality of luck that I mentioned. And
Correct.
it means,
Correct.
and in ancient times, getting robbed was more common than it is today.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
we lived in a world where it was very common. Now, who robs you? Well, the state, corporations. Very subtlety, right? Very subtle, in a very elegant way, in a very with credit cards, with charging you late fees and all that. I mean,
Everything. Yes.
I'm exaggerating,
Correct.
but you know what I mean. I mean, and at the same time, we live in a very peaceful. I mean, the majority of the people live, hopefully, in peaceful societies. In ancient societies, death was very near to
Common.
people.
Yes.
Accidents was very near to people. You know, um,
Medical facilities were not there, and all the things we have to consider.
yeah, I mean, blood was very close to people more than it is today. Specifically, people who are not
Hmm.
aware of death or accidents. I mean,
Correct.
obviously, soldiers, policemen, doctors are aware of that, and that is why Mars has to do with them in terms of its significators. So then it says, protector of his cruel temperament and slender ties. Cruel temperament because he's a Tamasic planet. Obviously, he's strong. Slender thighs. It would allude to power, in my opinion, of somebody who's being, who's in top shape, who can, run, who can fight wars, who can do a lot of things. Okay. So then he says he's a devotee of Brahmins, alluding to the idea that Mars is a Kshatriya. And if we follow the traditional Varnas, Kshatriyas are below Brahmins. So that means that
Right.
they will go to war according to the precepts of the traditional lore that rules over their Vedic society, in this term, traditional Vedic society. Has marks of Bina, Varga, Dhanus, Pashan, Brasha signs in his hands, along with Chakra Reka. These are specifically
These
allusions
are
to
the weapons.
Hasta Samudrika also. So people who know Samudrika, you can comment along. I am not an expert, but these are just allusions to things that you would find in the hand and other parts of the body in terms of Samhita, in terms of omens that would entail the future of the person. Then it says he's well versed in occult sciences. This is very interesting. He's very well versed in occult sciences because
Yes. This is yes.
yes,
Correct.
go for it.
Yes. Occult science. Why I tell you, because anything we have the three like three things we can do. Okay. The first one is the any remedies can be of three types. Okay, the first remedy can be sattvic remedy, the second remedy can be of rajasic, and the third one can be the tamasic. Okay, tamasic, right? So what happens when we consider that Mars is a tamasic planet? So it will definitely give the remedies or anything, because the remedies, karka for the remedies itself is Mars. Okay, and one more thing I would like to tell you here is that when we are looking at the Mars, yantra, mantra, or tantra, any these three, yantra means any like like the yes, okay, like the Sri yantra we have, and all the yantras like a pyramid is made or any diagram is made. Okay, these yantras are the sattvic remedies. Okay, it is also represented by Mars. Another thing which is called the yantra mantra, the mantra we are saying, like any mantra, Mahamrityunjay mantra or any mantra which we are saying, that is also by the action which we are doing. It is the Rajasic remedy because we have to do it. It is also the department of Mars. And any tantra, now tantra has two meaning here. Now tantra is any system, like the Raj tantra means monarchy system, Prajatantra means the republican system. Okay, so tantra is also the system, means the how the governance is to be done, the tantra. And one more tantra is the tantra or the tantric activity. That is also given by Mars. So every mantra, yantra or tantra, the significator is only Mars. We cannot exclude Mars. If say suppose anyone is saying that black magic is happening, Mars is to be associated either with Rahu or Ketu. There will be the involvement of Mars. This is for sure. So that is why it has given the any kind of occult, be it like astrology. Even astrology, you have to take some actions or give the decisions. Any action oriented thing, department is given to Mars. The thing is,
Definitely.
idea there.
Definitely. And you have to remember, I will add two things more. Remember, what is Mars? Mars is the empire of the will. It is our will to do what we have to do. And when you go to remedies, uh, be them, mantras, or be them tapas, for example, like offerings and all that, or just going to do your puyas, or asking somebody to do them for you, you are using your will to fix whatever you want, which would allude to an argument of free will within the astrological discipline. And another thing I would like to say is that in ancient times, one of the principal applications of astrology was military sciences, right? uh, Astrology was used to make war. Astrology was made to
Right.
make wars. You would do a muhurta for the perfect time to do a
Right.
war. That's why you would go to, for example, the moon in Purva Ashada, which means the all the readings that you read about Purva Ashada means that if you do war in this nakshatra, you will,
Victorious nakshatra.
yes, you
Purva.
will win the war because it's the
Invincible.
victorious nakshatra, of course. You also have that with the Abhijit Muhurta in terms of the 12:30 a.m. or 12:30 p.m. More or less, some people say it's 12, between 12 and 1, 12:30, whatever. The point is that there's a lot
12
of
and 1.
astrological use that was done for making war. So if you have a high quality Mars, then evidently from the traditional point of view, he is going to do very well in occult scientists, because he's going to use every tool necessary to win a war, right? And he's going to be smart. So he's going to do and he's going to study, and he's going to be an expert in everything that has to do with winning wars. And once again, the best warrior
Correct.
is the one that the one that does not go to war, because we have to remember, going to war in terms of physical war is one of the most primitive types of war making that we can do. Real war, sophisticated war, is making war without making war. And as once again, and we're
Right.
getting into global geopolitical current events. The Chinese are a perfect example.
What China did.
The Chinese
What
are, and
China
you're
did.
Indian. I mean, Chinese are great because they make war without making war, and we're not making war. No, 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 no. We're not. We're never making war, but they are. But they're doing it in a very indirect way, because
The whole world is in the war.
yeah, and that's how
With,
they do it. I mean, and today a lot of other countries do the same. I mean, I would say Israel does the same, more or less. The United States to a lesser degree. I mean, making war without doing war, and at least that shows that human beings have evolved a little bit. Right, the nuclear weapons also help with that, in terms of just preventing that we destroy everybody, like supposedly ancient Vedic civilization did in the Saraswati civilization. That some people say that there is like radiation, by, I think it's by Pakistan, if I'm not mistaken, that there's some radiation in one of these places that would allude that nuclear weapons were detonated. So even though
right.
we are primitive, and we are primitive, man is just a bag of worms, in my opinions. That's why we need God and we need tradition to transcend. But this high quality Mars is going to be very capable and resourceful in terms of winning what he has to win. And then it says he's 100 angles of height. So last time you told me it's like this. So he's tall.
Like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, he is taller than Jupiter, because Jupiter was Hamsa Yoga was measuring 96 anguls.
Yeah.
Now this is very easy. Now what is the length of this angul? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. This becomes 1, 2, 3, 4.
I
Now,
would say about 2
this is the
inches.
standard. Not 2 inches. I would say more than 2 inches. Roughly 2 inches.
More or
It
less.
is
Yeah.
depends upon the person to person.
Yeah.
So then in that situation you divide the figure of 100 by 4. That means what you are getting 25. So 25 into 2 inches, that it becomes around 50 inches, or around 60 inches. So
Yeah.
that means it will be in that height area,
He's
or
going to be
even more
very
than that.
tall. And it's very interesting because, as I have understood, Mars is always represented as a small figure. You also have the allusions to Kartikeya, which is the god of Mars, and he's just a child. So it's very interesting that when it's exalted, he's going to be tall, which would be the ideal physique for a good soldier, without a doubt, right? So, in
Right,
addition to
right.
that, you have his waist has a circumference equal to the length of his face. So we're talking about a very fit person. If you have a waist in terms of
Very
you are very fit. You have an 8-pack. So you're ready to go to war and fight whoever you want to fight, which in modern times would also allude to great athletes, without a doubt. And is 1,000 karchas in weight. How much is that? Do you know? 1,000 karchas?
uh, it is like see, this is very old. This is one of
Yeah,
the oldest
definitely.
method of measuring weight.
Yeah.
So
I
I
don't
don't
know.
have idea to that,
Me neither.
because
So
at this moment of time, even in Hindi, like you say, like you see, you are using the pounds. Okay, like you are saying that 177 pounds, 175 pounds. We use kg here.
yeah.
Okay, and even in Hindi, it is not like that. In Hindi, it is in Hindi, it is man.
Wow.
Like 1 man is equal to 40 kgs, and like that. Okay, so now as a language has evolved, we are not going, but it can be a soldier with a good weight,
Yeah,
because if
definitely.
you are not having the weight, then you are not going to able to put all the armors.
Wow. So you're telling me that each region of India has a different way of measuring weight and distance? So like
Exactly.
in
Even
the south, like in Tamil Nadu, like you're gonna have another way of another measurement, and in Delhi you're gonna have another measurement, and in East India, wow, that's crazy.
100%. You
Wow.
like you see, like even when people are buying the vegetable, now it is not the fixed at how you are selling the things. Someone will say that 250 grams amounts this much. Say for example 10 rupees. In some part of the country, it will be sold as per dozen, 12 pieces.
Wow.
In some part of the country, the same thing might be sold as per piece. So
Wow.
it is the diversity is excellent. And one more thing, by the measurement, as we know that Mars is also representing the land. Okay, now here where I am living, we measure the land in katthas. Okay, like 10 kattha, 20 kattha. It is a measurement. Now how much it is? It is like 2 kathas is around 1600 square feet,
Okay.
rough, roughly. Now when we are moving to Rajasthan or Gujarat or some other part, they will measure in gaj. Now gaj is 1 meter. So everything means everything is very diverse here, and so everything which is related to Mars is very diverse. That means it is your free will. Again, you see, whatever
Wow.
thing you can measure.
And then Parashara ends. That's very interesting. That's really crazy. A lot of confusion, I would say. And then it says he as ruler of Sayashala and Vindhya Pradesh dies after attaining the age of
Yes,
70 by
Vidya and
fire or
Satpura.
by book. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, now what you have given, it is very ancient Indian geographical area. That will be the Vindhyas and Satpuras range. Okay. Now, Vindhyas and Satpuras range are especially the range is the mountainous area in the Madhya Pradesh, and the area from where the North India and South India gets divided. It
Okay.
is from, yes, it is from Madhya Pradesh till Chhattisgarh. It is that range. The two parallel ranges is coming out, the mountainous range, and Vindhyas and Satpuras, they are the modern names of the area. From they will be the ruler of that area.
Wow. So probably there's a lot of people with Ruchaka Yoga in that region.
No,
It's a
it is
joke.
not
It's a joke.
like
It's a
that.
joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. So yeah, there you have it. So that's what Parashara has to say about it. Some people say that Parashara was written before Faladipika. Well, a lot of people say that, but Western academics don't agree with that, so we're not gonna get into that. But Faladipika Most people say it comes after Parashara. Some people say it comes before, but whatever. We're not going to get into that. But Faladipika, we go to chapter 6, if I'm not mistaken, Shloka 2, and we read, the person born in the Ruchaka Yoga will have a long face, will acquire wealth by doing many daring deeds, will be brave, will overcome his enemies, will be powerful, and will be arrogant. He will become renowned for his merits, will be leader of an army, and will emerge victorious in all his attempts. This is a very, very direct description, I would say. This is
basic, direct.
Yeah, I would say this is the type of description a seasoned astrologer would expect if he knows the basic significations of Mars, right? So basically says the person born with Ruchaka Yoga will have a long face. Once again, we got that from Parashara. Parashara
Yes,
said
right,
something.
right. Yes, we got it.
Parashara
Yes,
said,
yes, long face. The first line.
yeah, Parashara said that he would have a long face. So as we can see here, maybe from traditional past, having a long face was a sign of a warrior quality or a sign of a very capable soldier, a very capable man. So we have that. Then it says, will acquire wealth by doing many daring deeds. That makes sense, right? A well-dignified Mars will do that. We also have to see confluence. We have to see Jupiter. We have to see the second house, the second lord. We have to see all the Dana Yoga Babas, the 1st, the 5th, the 9th, the 11th, and their lords. Then it says, will be brave, obviously. A good Mars will manifest that. Will overcome his enemies, obviously. Will be powerful and will be arrogant. Well, yeah. There you have the tamasic disposition of Mars and its Pita Dosha quality of being fire. So it makes sense. He will become renowned for his merits. Makes sense. A hero, a great soldier, a man that does what he has to do and becomes triumphant. Also will be a leader of an army, obviously. Remember, Mangal in the planetary cabinet that Parashara gives in chapter 3 of Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, and that Barahamihira gives in chapter 2 of Brihat Jataka. Mangal is the general. So this makes complete sense. And will emerge victorious in all his attempts. This is very basic. You know, I would prefer for beginners to read the Mantreshwar description. It's very more, it's a lot more understandable. So these are the prime sources to understand Ruchaka Yoga. What can we see? This is going to be a very brave man, a very capable man, a very daring man. And I'm saying man because Mars is a male planet, right? But this can also apply to women.
Right.
Or this can apply to women that will associate themselves with men that are of this nature, right? Or that like men like this, right? Remember, because Mars is also a significator for, it's not necessarily a significator for husband, but it is a significator for the type of man that a woman will be attracted to. But remember, for man, you use Venus always. Why do men get into relationships? For pleasure, mainly. For a woman, you have a lot of things going on. It's like that meme, right? You have the man, it's just a button, you hit it on, off, right? A woman, you have a lot of gadgets and buttons. So for a woman, you might look to Venus, you might look to Mars, you might look to Jupiter, you might even look to Saturn, in addition to the 7th Lord, the 7th house, and obviously the Dharakarka using Jaimini precepts. But the idea is that you know, we've talked about a lot about men, but this also might apply to women in that way from the astrological perspective. So once again, remember, Mahapurushas are very subtle. You're not going to see this until you see this. Remember, a Mahapurusha yoga is like a samurai, right? It's and I'm using samurai here not because of Mars, but I am applying it to all Panch Maha Purushas. And let me explain to you the metaphor. When you see a samurai, he has his sword, he's calm. You know, those old Japanese movies, he's calm. He doesn't say he's a samurai. He's just very calm. And whenever time comes, and then he gets his sword out very fast. He cuts everybody, and then he puts the sword back on. And that's it. Those are Panch Maha Purusha yogas. When the time comes, they manifest and they do it well. People who have debilitated planets is just like the type of character that you would see in these samurai movies, the one that is always, look at my sword, I'm the best, I've trained with this person, and when time comes, they are cowards, or they get a gun and they kill you with a gun and not with a sword. So this is how we can understand how these Panch Maha Purushas will manifest effectively, in contrast to
Right.
how planets that not necessarily debilitated but are not in a best condition will overcompensate their qualities to hide their weaknesses. So Kaushal, I think that's all I have to say for Ruchaka Yoga for now.
Yes, 100%. And you explained it very well, the Ruchaka Yoga, and the discussion also was very wonderful when I was telling you about the anguls and all the things,
Oh
and
yeah, I
when
love
it
that.
was also
I'm learning a lot with you. Remember, I'm not Indian. I'm just a guy
right, right. That is
from
why
an island.
that is wonderful, and yet you have a lot of knowledge with that. And yes, the next. So, if anyone is having any questions regarding the Ruchaka Yoga, do write it down in the comment section below. And definitely do watch this video and subscribe to my channel. And
Yeah,
also, you can go and watch out videos if you know Spanish.
I have a
Then,
couple in English.
okay,
I did the nakshatras in English using the Baraja Mihira
right,
and Vajanata Dichita quotes from Brihat Jataka and Jataka Pariyata, which surprisingly not a lot of Indian astrologers have done videos about that, at least in English, maybe in other Indian languages like Hindi or others.
right,
Well,
right, right.
thank you very much, Kaushal. I'll see you again for the Venus Mahapurusha Yoga. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, what's its name? Malavya Yoga. So I'll see you for Malavya Yoga.
Malavya,
So
right,
that's gonna be nice.
right. So, this is KK Singh, Vedic Astrologer, and in collaboration with Fernando G, signing off for today. Okay, thank you.
Wisdom, strength, and serenity to all. Take care.